Hello, Uggies Worldwide. I'm Dave Kassler, amateur radio call sign KE0OG, here with another episode of Ask Dave. Today we're going to continue our look at the new Chameleon F Loop 3.0. And there are several ways of setting this up, and Chameleon sent me every one of them. So today we're going to look at the basic loop setup. Now, the basic loop setup is not a remote antenna. It's designed for QRP to be used right next to the operator, like at a portable station or even a mountaintop station, where the operator can reach out and adjust the frequency. So let's put the thing together and then use it on 40 meters and see what we get. Here are the parts right here, beside the assembly manual, which covers all the different versions of the antenna. We have the actual loop itself, which is this. It's a piece of coax, very stiff coax. Okay, and we're using the outer shield. So the inner and outer shields are shorted to each other in the connectors. Okay, this is the tuning unit, and down here is what we tune to tune it. And depending on where the switch is placed, we can tune from 30 to 10 meters or 40 to 80 meters. The actual, this is the rod that goes right here, okay, and screwed on carefully like you would anything. And it comes to a halt right about there. And notice nothing on this so far is beyond just finger tight. Now, this is where we put on two things. First of all, we have to put on this. This is the driver loop. This is the 6.5 inch, 10 meters to 80 meters. Okay, and see this hole right here? That is designed for these threads right here. It's 1/4 inch 20. Which camera aficionados will recognize as being the thread for camera tripods. Now we need to adjust this thing so that this thing is this way with the knob out here, and this is in parallel with it, okay? Now, the next thing we're going to do is attach the loop. Now, the loop is designed so that you insert here. There we go. You have to wiggle it a little bit to make it go in easily. It should go in all the way. Again, finger tight. Finger tight. Now let's take the other side of this loop and bring it up here. Like this, and go ahead and put that in there. This is obviously something that's easily done in the field. Okay, now this right here connects to this. It just hooks it. It's a little Velcro thingy. Now that obviously needs to go up ways to make this thing kind of circular. So we'll just make it kind of circular. There. That was easy. The antenna is now set up. Now how do we operate the antenna? Okay, so we've got the base down here, which has the capacitor and the tuning in it. We've got the loop going around, and it is coupling to this. We're actually going to feed this small loop. It seems strange that when we feed it, there's going to be 50 ohm difference between this and this. Okay, now technically, if you look at this antenna, it is a balanced antenna. Okay, it should be fed balanced. Now, we don't have balanced cable, but what they do provide for us here, this is the CHA 12-foot coax RFI choke. This right here, you can see sort of from the where the light hits it, that there are 5 ferrite beads, pretty long ferrite beads, spread next to each other over this. So what this will do is keep common mode currents will go down here, and this represents a high impedance to common mode currents, so they won't go anywhere. And then this can go to your antenna. So this is actually where it connects. I'll just turn this a little bit right here. Okay. Now here's the loop. Let's try to tune it on 40 meters. We're first CW. We're going to tune this for max noise. Hear that max noise right there? Okay, now here is an SWR meter. We're on CW. That's about as good as we can get it right there. Okay. Now, let's take a look at the SWR meter in the radio. We'll go to all the different meters. SWR is that one down there. You see how tight the tuning is. Okay, but it does tune low enough, and I'm going to turn this thing off so it doesn't beep at us. But this right here, as you can see, is receiving a portion of the band that is quite narrow. Okay, right there. Okay, so this thing does work. Now let's see if we can tune it around to hear some signals. We're on 40 meters. See, this moves it just right there up to the top of the band. Now we're having a little problem right now with a solar flare. So it's really hard to determine what's going on. Okay, well, let's try for a higher band. Let's go to 20. Okay, it tunes down near 1 to 1. Now, let's do something. Let's tune this up 20 kilohertz. Right about there. See, you've got a little bit of bandwidth on that right there. Now let's see if we can. We're not seeing much on the air because of that geomagnetic storm. Here's the antenna. This is designed, or set up. This is set up for 20 meter FT8. Okay, we've already checked the tuning on it and everything. And if you notice over here on the screen for FT8, it is transmitting. Now I'm going to set it up so that we're going to call one of these other stations here and see if anything comes of it. We're very much at a disadvantage with this thing indoors. Now, while we're trying to see if we can get somebody there, whoops, we did. We captured somebody. Okay, this looks like it's actually going. This is his QSL card down here from N3FJP querying the QRZ database. Okay, and what we're looking to get from him since we've exchanged everything right here, is the 73. Okay, now that's going to pop up as a log right over here. We'll do OK, and it actually logs it here in the N3FJP contact log, and this can be uploaded directly to Logbook of the World. So, what we have shown, this is pretty cool. Okay, we've got 5 watts coming out of this going to this antenna. Now, the antenna normally is not a compromised antenna. This antenna outside, especially if it's on a little pedestal or something, will perform about as well as a dipole. Now, here's the problem. Here's the problem. This right here. You have to be where you can tune this in order to get the SWR down. Now, you can get in the neighborhood by tuning for max noise, but still, the SWR can be quite high, and the receiver will operate pretty well, so you need to be able to get this thing centered just where it needs to be. Are there tuning aids for that? Yes, there are. The main one that we're using right now is the SWR meter in the radio. Let me turn this to tune, which causes it to transmit a steady signal. And we see this one down here is the SWR, and the reason it's going crazy is because we're sticking our arms in the middle of it. Remember, the thing about antennas is that everything affects everything. So we can get it down to nearly 1-to-1 SWR right here, like that. Okay, and we're set up to operate on Whisper. And we got a contact with that, just with this on the desk and 5 watts. I think that's pretty amazing myself. So what we have showed in the video today is the F loop in its most basic configuration. It's just sitting on a table. We've got the knob right here. We've got it tuned over here. The 30 through 10, it's on B, and everything is nice and tight. And we've got it connected up here. So the signal comes in here, excites this little loop right here, which has about 50 ohm impedance. Okay, even though it's obviously short circuit on DC. And then that couples into this big loop. So we've got little loop, big loop, some magnetic coupling. And then down here we've got some ferrite beads to keep the common mode signal out, and it works fine. Okay, gotta turn that down before it drives me absolutely nuts. What we've done today is take the basic configuration of the Chameleon F loop antenna. It comes in several configurations. You can buy one. They actually sent me all of them, so we're going to go through a number of them. One of them is you can put an extra loop in parallel, or not in parallel, but in series here with this, which is part of the basic loop configuration to allow you to get on 80 meters. And that's pretty cool. It's interesting. This is the first time I have seen an American loop manufacturer go the multiple loop route, the multiple turn loop. They do this a lot in Europe, and that would allow us to operate on 80 meters, anywhere in the 80 meter band. Again, remembering that the lower in frequency you go, the higher Q this thing gets. And you can, at 80 meters, you're getting down to the point where your bandwidth is going to be about as wide as a single sideband signal. Whereas if we discovered here on 20 meters, we've got about 10 kc of bandwidth on either side of that. Now, what this is not good for is drawing a panoramic scope, because all it can receive is in a very small frequency band. But if you're using this for POTA activation, you can see the obvious benefits. The obvious benefits are this is all the bigger it is, right here. Now you say, how can this operate and give you about the same performance as a dipole? This is a unity gain antenna design. And the answer is by magic. No, I mean, it excites a little bit more of the magnetic field. And this circuit, this way this thing is set up, has been around since the 1920s. And in fact, it was used for portable man-pack radios. And so it's a 100-year-old design, and it works fine. It's very, very sturdy, I will tell you that. You definitely get construction sturdiness for your money. Now, the disadvantages, of course, are this knob right here. You have to tune with this. Now, there is a little automatic tuner where you can do remote tuning, and we will be testing that out later. But this, as it stands, is perfect for a POTA, parks on the air, type activity, a portable activity, field day, all of those kinds of things like that. If you train your people who are tuning up and down the dial to tune up and down the dial with the antenna too, you're in good shape. Now, this costs a lot more than a dipole, but the advantages, you can do it indoors, which we just did. We did an FT8 from indoors, this antenna sitting right here next to the radio. Also, advantages outside, you could do this in the desert, in the middle of a dry lake. You don't need poles or anything to hold this up. Just set it on the table beside you, and you've got an antenna that works, as we've shown right here. Radio, directly to antenna, very good. So there you have it. The bottom line is that the F-loop works. It works very well for its intended application. If you're going to use something that you're doing like parks on the air, some other low power activity, this thing will work fine. It does have a limitation on how much power you put into it because of the way that the plates are constructed on the capacitor. If you exceed that voltage, you'll arc over. Now they do also sell a power adapter, which we will explore in a future video, that allows you to put a little more power out. It changes your tuning, but it can be valuable if you need to put out more power. So, do I recommend buying this loop? I think that it's a unity gain antenna. It's the same as a dipole in terms of gain. It does work. In certain circumstances, it's exactly what you want because you're situated to where you can't put up an outdoor antenna. This is a good balcony antenna. Now, if you're going to put this on the balcony, I would suggest setting it up so this direction right here becomes the direction that you're trying to get RF, or this direction over here. Right through the middle of this is a null. Okay? So another thing that you can do if you want is put this on something like this. Okay? Now it's unidirectional all the way around. Okay? And horizontally polarized. Okay? And then you can do your loop tuning right there. This thing isn't that heavy. It isn't very heavy at all. So we come back to the question, do I recommend it? If this is the kind of antenna that's going to solve your operating problem, yes. It's very sturdy, very well built. Does it have competitors? Yes. Do the competitors' antennas work? Yes. What you are getting from Chameleon is extremely solid build quality. Okay? They're selling a lot of these to the military. Now, there is an unfortunate law in the books in the federal government that if you sell something to the federal government you have to give them your best price. So you can't sell it for $1,000 to the military and then $500 to amateurs, because then the military wants that $500 price too. So this is why this is a little bit more expensive. You're getting what, in essence, I'm going to go ahead and call it military grade. To really call it military grade, you'd have to list the mil standards and stuff that it meets. But it is very sturdy, okay? And the whole thing folds down and goes into a duffel bag, which you can wear as a backpack and put other stuff in the backpack, like a battery and a QRP rig and things like that. So, and we did QRP here, 5 watts on 5 watts on FT8. So I keep rambling on and saying the same thing. Yeah, run out and buy one. But wait a moment, because in a future video, we're going to take a look at the next notch up of this. We're going to look at the medium. There's basic, total, and plus configurations of this. And we're going to look at those. We also have a little semi-automatic tuner that you can put on down here and make the thing tunable somewhat remotely. So like if you want to run a higher power and get the thing away from you, that's the way to do it. Until we next meet, 73.